today.
The community for over 30 years. The firm concentrates its practice in the areas of personal injury, workers' compensation, real estate, business planning, and family law. At Bedore, Parker & Hine, each client gets the personal attention of an experienced attorney. The attorneys at Bedore, Parker & Hine are committed to providing each of their clients with the personal attention and prompt service they deserve. Bedore, Parker & Hine, serving the best interests of their clients for over 30 years.
Hello, this is Ralph Weaver with Prince Tire Company, recommending that now is a good time to bring your car or truck by to get ready for winter driving. We'll check your tires for wear and recommend the right tire for your type of driving. At Prince Tire Company, we'll check and install antifreeze if you need it. We also do brake work and front end alignment. A little time spent now before the real cold weather gets here can save you a lot of time and trouble later on. We're Prince Tire Company, 1011 South George Street, treating you like family since 1933.
When you get a package, there's usually something good inside. That's also true at Wayne Realty and Insurance Company, because we offer a package that can save you money. It's called the Ohio Casualty Insurance Package. By combining your auto and homeowner's insurance, you'll pay less money than you would with separate policies. Whether you live in a home, condo, or apartment, call Wayne Realty and Insurance Company today at 735-1341 or visit 304 East Walnut Street, downtown Goldsboro, and ask us about the good things inside the Ohio Casualty Insurance Package.
This is from a home video of Brendan Monez playing on a swing.
I can go high now. Mom, look how high I'm still going. Yeah. I can pump high.
Not long after this was taped, Brendan was killed by a drunk driver.
I'm going as high as I was before.
Get the keys. Friends don't let friends drive drunk. A public service message brought to you by the Department of Transportation, the Ad Council, and this station.
Slowing down a little, tiny bit.
WGBR.
Well and good. I like Larry King. He has got a small audience. No offense.
None taken. Rush Limbaugh, just glad to have verification of that fact. None other than Sam Donaldson. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You've got the Excellence in Broadcasting Network. Here's the phone number if you'd like to join us. It is 800-282-2882. And the email address is rush@eibnet.com. All right. For you liberals and Democrats, as I said, I have a few things to say about the president, and I really wonder if you can take it. I know you'll be able to take it. I mean, it's not because you've heard me be critical of the president before. What I really want to know from you liberals is what you think of it. Do you agree or disagree after I finish that I have spoken the truth? Or am I just another one of those right-wing extremist partisans? Here it is. On January 20th, 1993, William Clinton took the oath prescribed by the Constitution of the United States faithfully to execute the office of president. Implicit in that oath is the obligation that the president set an example of high moral standards and conduct himself in a manner that fosters respect for the truth. And William Clinton has egregiously failed in this obligation, and through his actions has violated the trust of the American people, lessened their esteem for the office of president, and dishonored the office which they have entrusted to him. So, let it be stated, the president made false statements concerning his reprehensible conduct with a subordinate. The president wrongly took steps to delay discovery of the truth. And no person is above the law. And the president remains subject to criminal and civil penalties for this conduct. Bill Clinton, the President of the United States, by his conduct, has brought upon himself the condemnation of the American people and should acknowledge the facts herein. Now, Rush, that's not as hard-hitting as what you usually do. But it's true. And if any liberals out there would care to respond, is this the truth? Do I speak the truth? Or am I simply being a partisan? Let's grab a quick phone call. Hayward, California. We'll start with Bill. Bill, hello, and welcome to the EIB Network. Great to have you.
Yes, thank you, Rush. Super mega dittos from Hayward, California.
Thank you.
Yesterday, I just wanted to mention, I watched Meet the Press with Tim Russert, and he had Representative Tom DeLay on yesterday, and he was asked if he thought that possibly President Clinton might use some sort of diversionary military action in the Middle East, such as against Saddam Hussein, who again is blocking weapons inspectors from doing their job, to take away from the situation here. And Mr. DeLay mentioned that he thought that President Clinton was a dangerous man, and he would not trust him if there was some military action taken.
What I think, now I don't know that it actually was stated that way. I think what happened was that Russert gave him a scenario. The president comes back from the Middle East on Wednesday. He says to the people of the United States that he has learned that Saddam Hussein plans military strikes against American targets, and some of them here in the United States. And he is going to do this by the end of the week. And as such, we need to work together to stop this, to work hard to make sure that this doesn't happen. And he asked DeLay, would you believe the president if on Wednesday or Thursday of this week he came back with this story about Saddam Hussein? And DeLay said no. Flat out. I mean, didn't hesitate. No, Tim, I wouldn't believe the President of the United States. He has rendered himself unbelievable. Now, I don't know. Let me ask you, Bill, if you're still there. Did Russert actually give him the specific question that you cited?
Basically, what he said is he asked him if he would trust the president to make any military actions at this point in time. And Tom DeLay basically said no, he would not trust the president. And I believe that.
Yeah, well, that's a lot of people do, but I think the real point here that needs to be made, and the credit that needs to be given, is DeLay. Once again, I'll tell you what, folks, in this current age, you know what the political thing to say with a question like that is? The politic thing to say is, if Russert would have asked you that question and you're Tom DeLay, well, let me tell you something, Tim. If the United States is threatened, if Saddam Hussein threatens the United States, the Congress of the United States would come together and support the president. Make sure we would come together. We're not going to play games with people like Saddam Hussein. That's the politic thing to say, and DeLay didn't say the politic thing. He said the honest thing.
You wonder why your throat is dry, more and more needs to be sore. You gotta believe in every relief. You know what you're looking for. Ricola here, Ricola there, Ricola here, Ricola there, Ricola here, Ricola there, Ricola here, Ricola there. Ricola, soothing Ricola, natural Ricola, sore throat, Ricola, it's Ricola, it's Ricola.
Use as directed. This is WGBR News, Goldsboro's very own.
It's time for a look at local news. I'm Thomas Vick on 1150 WGBR. Local food stamp officials are optimistic about the use of food stamp debit cards in Wayne County. They think the use of the cards will prove beneficial. Those receiving food stamps will begin using the cards next month. Local training on processing the cards has already begun. The debit cards will replace the conventional paper food stamps. Social Services Director Gwendala Wilson says she feels the debit cards will make it easier on everyone involved, and they will make the food stamp program less open to fraud. When the program is fully enacted, food stamp recipients will be issued a plastic card similar to a conventional credit card. Instead of receiving a book of food stamps when they buy food, they will swipe their card through a machine at the retailer. That machine is the same machine now used by credit card and bank debit card users. At that point, the amount of the purchase will be deducted from the established food stamp account. No change from food stamps will be involved. Wilson says there will be better loss prevention and the cost of the plan will be no more than the cost of the current food stamp program. Wilson did note there are some initial upfront costs for activation locally. According to Wilson, there are concerns about how to effectively educate the elderly on using the debit cards. 2 other counties in the state have already implemented the program and has been well received. Retail outlets in Wayne County say it's important for people to remember the cards cannot be used in Wayne County until January. The 2 counties where they're already being used are pilot counties. Retail grocers say they're experiencing several cases where customers spend hours shopping, filling their baskets with groceries, only to get to the cash register to find out they cannot use the debit cards to pay for their food. Therefore, they have to leave, and the groceries have to be put back on the shelf. Local government and agencies across the areas are benefiting from inmate labor. Prison inmates from Neuse Correctional Center are finishing up a beautification project in Wayne County, and they're cleaning up area parks. State Department of Transportation offices are getting a new facelift as well. A change of plans for the publication of Seymour Johnson Air Force Base's Newcomers Guide. The guide will not be printed next year. Public affairs officials say instead they will use the Wayne County Chamber of Commerce's Visions magazine for printed newcomer needs. It appears it's all part of cost-cutting efforts all branches of the military are facing. Newcomers to Seymour Johnson will get all pertinent relocation information on the base website. That's a look at local news. I'm Thomas Vick on 1150 WGBR.
Area of high pressures took a good grip on our weather as we get into the work week here, clearing out the skies and letting us dry out a bit after a soggy weekend. Mostly sunny skies in the forecast this afternoon, but a chilly northeast wind will hold our high at about 50 to 55. Clear skies tonight. The wind subside. It will be a chilly one. Upper 20s to low 30s for the low. Then for Tuesday, an increase in cloud cover with highs tomorrow holding in the low 50s. I'm meteorologist Chris Thompson in the Weather Center.
WGBR.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's El Rushbo, serving humanity, executing my assigned host duties flawlessly, 0 mistakes, and interesting facts sent in by a good friend of ours, Don in Staten Island. He sent in a copy of yesterday's Staten Island Sunday Advance, which is a newspaper. And it's a story about how Watergate experts are drawing the parallels between Nixon and Clinton. And it's about a man from Myers Corners who was one of the main researchers for the Washington Post under Benjamin Bradley during the Watergate crisis. And as you get to the end of the story, there's a fascinating little paragraph here that I'd like to read to you. In January, Democratic Whip David Bonnier, a congressman from Michigan, addressed a group of honors students at Susan Wagner High School, where his sister is an art teacher. Well, Bonnier was in Staten Island in January. In a somber tone, the second highest-ranking Democrat in the House called the then accusations, quote, very sad for the country, unquote, and said that if they turned out to be true, they indeed amounted to an impeachable offense. The last sentence of the story, Bonnier has declined to comment more recently on the situation. Now, we are going to see to it that this little news story, the Sunday Advance from Staten Island, finds its way to Washington, D.C., to prominent members of the Republican caucus for use on Thursday and Friday of this week during the debate on the floor of the House about impeachment. Remember, if you go back to January, that's when all of, the Democrats, Republicans alike were equally, well, they were on the same page about Clinton's ability to withstand this. And you know, it's interesting and I think very instructive to go back to when people first heard about this, and I'll tell you why. The reason why is if you go back to January and you get the first reports of the story, all they were was that Clinton had had an affair with this intern, and it had been going on for some time, and that she was about to, she was going to testify in the Paula Jones case, and that was pretty much it. And from that report alone, there was doom on the Democratic side and glee on the Republican side. I remember I was at the Super Bowl out in San Diego, and there were people in the suite where I happened to be talking about how the president wouldn't last the following week, that this sort of thing would cause the markets to be too jittery, that he had to go. You just can't do this. On top of everything else that's been accused, or he's been accused of, to have this kind of thing going on, he's out of there. And Democrats as well were of that opinion, as this quote from Bonnier indicates. Let me read this quote to you again. It's from the Sunday Advance, Staten Island, because in January, David Bonnier, congressman from Michigan, addressed a group of honor students at Susan Wagner High School, where his sister is an art teacher. In a somber tone, the second highest ranking Democrat in the House called the then accusations, and all they were then was that he had had sex with an intern. We hadn't even gotten to the lying about it yet, because he hadn't lied. He hadn't gone on TV yet. Now, Bonnier's comment may have occurred after. I don't have the exact date of Bonnier's comment in January, but it'd be a close call. But Bonnier may have had the benefit of the denial, which, if he heard the denial, he would have had to not believe the president in order to say this, which is why I think that Bonnier's comment comes before the president's denial. In a somber tone, the second highest ranking Democrat in the House called the then accusations very sad for the country, and said that if they turned out to be true, they indeed amounted to an impeachable offense. What's so important about January? Because, my friends, January is before all the spin. January is before the criminal defense bar got hold of the case every night on cable TV and started obfuscating and confusing everybody with what it was all about. Before the brainwashing began, before the spinmeisters took to the airwaves, before the presidential defense team got into action, before Dick Morris and his polls for the president had begun to be utilized. The polls have been taken before they've been utilized. You go back and just take the raw fact of sex with an intern, and you've got even Bonnier saying that's an impeachable. You've got Hillary Clinton on the Today Show admitting to Matt Lauer that if the president had sex with an intern in the Oval Office subordinate, that would be serious, Matt. Her contention was it didn't happen. It was a right-wing conspiracy. But you go back to January, before all the gunk got into this, and even high-ranking Democrats were of the opinion that it was an impeachable offense. And so that's what I urge everybody to do, is to go back to January, when we learned of the fact that we now know to be true, and more. We now know that there was lying about it to boot. And actually, that makes the fact even worse. But the thing is, the interesting thing to me is that just on the possibility that the president might have had sex, adulterous sex, in the Oval Office, or in his private time, they say. Even Democrats back then were worried that he couldn't survive that, before they got unified on a message. This was before, hey, it's his private life, it doesn't matter. Hey, it's consensual. Hey, it doesn't matter, it's none of our business. Before they got their heads together and came up with all that, on the basis of the fact alone, it was sufficient for Bonnier and Hillary Clinton to suggest, we'd have to look at that, Matt. Yeah, that would be very serious. Yeah, that would be, according to Bonnier, an impeachable offense. In fact, as I look at this now, Bonnier had to say that before the president's televised denial, because the only way Bonnier would say this is if he didn't believe it was true. And when it turns out to be true, and they get their heads together and come up with their spin, and then they treat the American people to it for the next well, it's ongoing even now, but this is the next 6 months in intensity. You can see how the fact, powerful as it is, was neutered and portrayed to be something else. In fact, you know what's going to, I'll tell you what we're going to do here, just to take people back to the very beginning, and I think this will prove valuable, worthwhile. We need to find our Celine Dion parody. Our Love Must Go On from Titanic, where we cut together all of the various sound bites. We put this together in early February, and it'll help take you back to January before all the spin began. I think this is crucial. I think this is useful, extremely useful. I got a big smile on my face when I see that even Bonnier in January told some students in Staten Island, sex with an intern in the Oval Office, yep, if that's true, it's a sad day, and it is an impeachable offense. HR, I want you to make sure that this gets down to some people in Washington. You fax it down there, make sure it gets to the right people. Let's take a quick break here. We'll be back. More of your phone calls coming up right after this.
You're listening to the EIB Network.
Is hair loss affecting your self-confidence? I'm Brian Reichenberg, the general manager for Kevis. For over 2 years, you've been hearing me tell you how Kevis has given me and thousands of listeners thicker, fuller, healthier-looking hair. Everyone knows there are drugs available for your hair. However, most people are concerned about the side effects and thus don't do anything to help themselves. For those of you who are concerned, you can now use our drug-free formula to improve your hair. Kevis has been clinically tested at leading universities and hospitals throughout Europe. Hundreds of thousands of men and women of all nationalities have used Kevis successfully. Since the U.S. patent was approved, Kevis is your drug-free alternative. Make the decision to do something now. Call toll-free 1-888-965-HAIR. Kevis is guaranteed. The only thing you have to lose is more hair. For full details, call toll-free 1-888-965-HAIR.
I'm Rick Sutton, Police Coordinator for Goldsboro Wayne Crime Stoppers. Last week, Crime Stoppers assisted with a drug investigation that led to the arrest of Derek Sharon Warren, Reggie LaRue McKinney, and Virgil Devon Cox, who were charged by the Goldsboro Wayne County Drug Squad with various drug offenses. And the caller who gave the information will be given a cash reward. If you have information that could help solve a crime anywhere in Wayne County, please call Crime Stoppers at 735-2255. You will not be asked to give your name, and you may be eligible to receive a cash reward for your information, because Crime Stoppers gives cash rewards of up to $1,000 for information leading to arrest in felony cases. And it does not matter how much or how little information that you have. In fact, sometimes the smallest bit of information is what actually helps solve some of the cases. So please don't hesitate to make that call and help stop crime in Wayne County. That phone number again is 735-2255. Thank you.
In the busy Christmas shopping season, it's great to eat out. At the Seafood Shack, you can enjoy delicious food, fast, courteous service, and money-saving prices. Fresh flounder, trout, shrimp, scallops, oysters, and other delicious favorites, including farm-raised catfish and homemade fish stew made fresh daily. During the busy holiday season or anytime, enjoy great seafood and service by the Enriquez family. For more than 25 years, eat in or call for takeout. Seafood Shack, 1813 North Berkeley Boulevard at New Hope Road in Goldsboro.
Do you know that by not wasting energy, you can actually reduce air pollution?
No, but if you hum a few bars, maybe I could learn it.
Very well. Thanks for the energy. When you turn off a light, you make my world turn bright. You send me lots of kilowatts to see me through the night. I thank you.
This has been another Thanks for Not Wasting Energy message brought to you by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, Earthshare, and the Ad Council.
Stay tuned.
WGBR.
Behind the scenes at the Clinton White House.
Here's the telephone number again, 800-282-2882. Rush Limbaugh and the Excellence in Broadcasting Network. Look at this. I have a story here off the Reuters wire. Oracle Corporation and Sun Microsystems, in a direct assault on Microsoft, will announce today that they will work together on a new type of computer that does not require an operating system. Whoa! How is this possible? I thought there was a monopoly out there. I thought Microsoft had a monopoly out there. How can this be? Competition in the marketplace. I'm stunned. Somebody's going to have to explain this to me. David in Fort Wayne, Indiana, cell call. Hi, welcome to the program.
Hey, good afternoon, Rush. Hey, I wanted to say for the first time in a long time, I really do feel re-energized by the Republican Party based on a few words that Tom DeLay said yesterday to Tim Russer. And when Tim asked him about the effects this may have on the elections of 2000, obviously DeLay said, I don't know. Then he says, I don't really care. To me, that re-energizes me because the Republican Party is finally returning to portraying a party of principle.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. I find it fascinating that the press and the Democrats are just beside themselves, that the Republicans aren't listening to the polls, to the American people. The press routinely chides politicians for listening to the polls. They routinely chide politicians for having no guts. They routinely chide politicians for having no courage. They're gutless wonders. All they do is poll. They stick their fingers in the air, figure out which way the wind's blowing, and try to get in front of it. That's all they do. Now you got a bunch of guys who are saying, to hell with the polls, to hell with the wind. We're going to do the right thing, and they're being criticized for that. I mean, there's so many double standards that are being exercised here, but I agree with you. That's why I opened the program. These guys deserve a lot of praise. They're confounding everybody here. They are confounding the press. They're confounding the president. They're confounding all the liberals and the defense team for Clinton because they're not being talked out of this. They're not being pummeled. They're not being intimidated. They're not being scared. And when DeLay frankly says, as you rightly point out, with even a sort of an air of resignation and frustration, I don't care. Frankly, Tim, I don't care. DeLay, grab cut 3 if you would. Eric, DeLay has also been roundly criticized as the hammer. Russert asked him, have you been inquiring of your members how they're going to vote?
No, actually I haven't. I tell my detractors, people that have written, name one member that I have threatened or asked to vote one way or another. They can't do that. It isn't about me, Tim. It's not about Henry Hyde. It's not about Ken Starr. It's not about Monica Lewinsky. This is about President Bill Clinton and whether he lied under oath, obstructed justice, and abused the power of his office.
Do you remember when the president gave his attempt at apologizing again last week, and then did it again yesterday morning in Israel? The point I made to you last week, I can make again today. The president continues to ask for sympathy, basically. Talk about the suffering he's going through. What the president never does is apologize for being the one who has put everybody through this. I'm frankly glad he hasn't. I mean, I think if he did that, if the president had actually made it sound as though he understands that it's not about him, that the damage here that everybody's worried about is not the damage to him. We're worried about the damage to the rule of law. We're worried about the damage to the Constitution. We're worried about the damage to the fabric of morality in America. If he would apologize for those kinds of things, I think some of these moderate Republicans would run right to him. Now, some of you are saying, Rush, shut up, don't give him the idea. My friends, I'm not worried about this because Bill Clinton cannot do that. He cannot apologize for being the reason these things are in jeopardy. It's not in his makeup. In Bill Clinton's world, everything is about him. And he thinks that the American people view everything through the prism of how will it affect Bill Clinton or how will it make Bill Clinton look. He doesn't have it in him to apologize for threatening the Constitution. He doesn't have it in him to apologize to the American people for being the reason all this is going on. So don't worry. He's not going to do it. And what it means is that he doesn't have the ability to realize, see, I disagree with where I'm going with this, is I disagree with delay, even when he says it's about President Bill Clinton, whether he lied under oath, obstructed justice, and abused the power of his office. Yes, to a certain extent, but what it's really all about here, it's not even really about Clinton, as far as I'm concerned. It's about preserving the Constitution, defending, preserving, protecting the Constitution, and the rule of law. Those are the things that survive. They survive any president. But they may not survive this one. If we end up with two different sets of laws, one for the powerful and most powerful, and one for the average flunky roaming the streets, then the great experiment called America is in effect over. Because you've come up with the kind of opportunity for tyranny at the top that the Founding Fathers feared the most. So that's the major concern. And I just want to suggest to you again, I know all of you get upset when I start suggesting things the president ought to do. Don't worry, he can't. It's not in his makeup to do what I suggested. I really don't think he's got the ability to do it. Quick break. We'll be back with more in a moment. Stay right where you are.
You're listening to the EIB Network.
You know, there's nothing better than a big, thick, delicious steak, the kind they serve at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. We're talking corn-fed USDA prime, the top 2% of American beef. And only a Ruth's Chris steak has that sizzle. You can actually hear your steak coming from across the room. And that's music to your taste buds, because that sound, that world-famous, one-of-a-kind Ruth's Chris Steakhouse sizzle, is what keeps your steak hot, juicy, and delicious from the first bite to the last. Just the way I like it.
Ruth's Chris welcomes the American Express card.
60 Minutes said reporter Christopher Ruddy changed public opinion about Vince Foster's death. McCurry and Carville call Ruddy the Clintons' #1 press enemy. Find out what Ruddy is exposing now. Call and order Vortex, Ruddy's newsletter. Get Vortex and receive free the video, The Death of Ron Brown, with top-secret military photos of the crash. Get Vortex. Call 800-NEWSMAX, 800-NEWSMAX, on the web, www.newsmax.com, or call 800-NEWSMAX.
Police Department, Sergeant John speaking.
Oh, please come quick. They're holding me hostage.
Now, calm down, ma'am. Can you try to describe them?
They're brown, ugly, and have antennas.
Ma'am?
They're roaches.
Roaches? Is that your last name?
That's their only name. They're bugs, for goodness sake.
Well, you don't need the police. You need Griffin Exterminating. They can wipe out any pest problem you've got.
Even a leech?
You've got leeches, too.
Just one.
Ma'am?
My brother-in-law.
For all your pest problems, call Griffin Exterminating. Whether it's termites, fleas, or roaches, Griffin Exterminating is sure to come to the rescue. Call 735-3928.
I'm Rick Sutton, Police Coordinator for Goldsboro-Wayne Crime Stoppers. Last week, Crime Stoppers assisted with a drug investigation that led to the arrest of Derek Sharon Warren, Reggie LaRue McKinney, and Virgil Devon Cox, who were charged by the Goldsboro-Wayne County Drug Squad with various drug offenses. And the caller who gave the information will be given a cash reward. If you have information that could help solve a crime anywhere in Wayne County, please call Crime Stoppers at 735-2255. You will not be asked to give your name, and you may be eligible to receive a cash reward for your information, because Crime Stoppers gives cash rewards of up to $1,000 for information leading to arrest in felony cases. And it does not matter how much or how little information that you have. In fact, sometimes the smallest bit of information is what actually helps solve some of the cases. So please don't hesitate to make that call and help stop crime in Wayne County. That phone number again is 735-2255. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Tony Randall. The show must go on. That's an old and honored tradition. Well, I'd like to tell you about another proud tradition. It's the tradition of help and hope that Shriners Hospitals for Children has been providing for over 3/4 of a century to kids with orthopedic problems or severe burns. It's some of the best medical care in the world, and it's always provided totally without charge. If you know a child the Shriners could help, call 1-800-237-5055. Shriners helping kids. The tradition continues.
WGBR.
Well, it's good. I like Larry King. He has got a small audience, no offense.
That's less than 1 million homes a night. Thank you, Sam. Welcome back. Rush Limbaugh, the Excellence in Broadcasting Network, to Fairfield, California. Kate. Hey, welcome back.
Hey, Rush. Listen, I know I'm supposed to get right to my point. I don't want us to focus any more on moderate Republicans, but rather focus on principled Democrats. They've got to be there.
Yeah, there are some. I think there's 7 or maybe 8 of them.
Oh, come on. There's got to be 9 or 10, I think.
Well, let's see. Now, I think I've got a piece of paper here with the latest breakdown on it, Kate, if I can find it. Here's this is from today's New York Post, and there are, according to the New York Post, Democrats 3 that are firm for it, 5 that are leaning for it, and 6 who are against or leaning against. So what you basically have here are 14 Democrats, of which 11 are really undecided.
But can we make sure we refer to them all as principled Democrats?
Why now? I mean, how can we refer to them as principled before they vote?
Well, we're appealing to their conscience. We're going to appeal to their conscience by saying we know they're principled, we know they have it in them, we know they're going to do the right thing, we know they revere the Constitution, and we trust them to do the right thing.
And why do you want to do this instead of focusing on the moderate Republicans? I know. I just want you to say it.
Well, because I'm so tired of the so-called moderate Republicans. I'm so tired of those guys. They're such wimps. There's got to be some principled people out there.
Wait a second. Don't you understand what this all means? The moderate Republicans are the guys being set up as the power brokers.
Right, exactly. Let's set up these principled Democrats as the power brokers.
Well, but even beyond this, wait a minute now. Forget impeachment. Let's say an impeachment is settled, there's a trial or there's not a trial, and it's over.
Right.
The problem that I have with this focusing on the moderate Republicans is that by definition, if there are 20 of them or 30 of them, it means that there are 100+ extremist Republicans.
Right.
By definition, that's what I don't like about this. These and the moderates, though, are clearly being established here as the power brokers, because you need 218 votes in the House of Representatives, and they can't get to 218 on the Republican side without these moderates. These moderates are they're saying that they're the power brokers.
Right, but we can make the principled Democrats the power brokers.
Well, as this count right now, as the New York Post has it, based on their own reporting, is that there are currently 219 votes as of today for impeachment, 205 against, and 11 Republican wild cards that are undecided. So by their count, it appears already a lock, but, there's going to be all sorts of massive...
There's going to be a lot of pressure, Rush.
And on those Democrats, on these principled Democrats you're talking about, that's where the real pressure is going to be brought to bear along with these Republicans. Right. But there are 11 Republican wild cards that aren't really counted and determined yet, and so those are the people that do appear to have the power. It's going to be close. I just have this sense that the House is going to vote impeachment, and I have since last week, as you know.
This holiday season, you're going to be getting a lot of junk mail. Well, mixed in between the brochure for his and her Santa suits and a flyer for Mrs. Claus's holiday dog biscuits is something called Christmas seals from the American Lung Association. Seals you put on holiday cards and packages to show your support for programs that fight lung disease, like curing asthma, a disease that affects nearly 5 million children. For more information, call your American Lung Association at 1-800-LUNG-USA.
Brought to you by the American Lung Association of North Carolina.
5, 4.
The odds of your child touching the stars are out of this world.
We have
But the chances are more than 1 in 4 your baby isn't fully protected from childhood diseases. Keep his baby shots on schedule. Ask your doctor at every visit. Give him the chance to be whatever he wants, even if it's a rock star. A public service message from the Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council. Questions? Call 1-800-232-2522.
Wayne County is home for Dr. Joy Brown, 1150 WGBR Goldsboro. On the offensive, Vice President Al Gore is charging Republican leaders with turning their backs on the voters in the debate over impeachment.
The American people, by overwhelming majorities, have decided that notwithstanding that what the president did was wrong, he should not be impeached and removed from office as a result of that.
Gore says the House leadership should allow members to vote on censure.
They threatened to put the country through this long ordeal that would ensue, and it's not the right thing to do.
As for suggestions President Clinton should resign for the good of the country,
of course, that's not going to happen.
Now the attention is on wooing a group of undecided Republicans, hoping they will ignore party pressure and vote against impeachment. The debate opens Thursday. Israel's accepting a vote by the Palestine National Council, no longer demanding Israel's destruction. I'm Nick Young.
Beer Across America is the perfect way to fill your holidays with fun, laughter, and beer. Call 1-800-854-BEER now and send a gift membership for 2 to 12 months, which includes 2 different six-packs from great craft breweries throughout the U.S. every month, plus much more. There's no better gift this holiday season. 1-800-854-BEER. Give the gift of beer from the original microbrewery Beer of the Month Club. Beer Across America. Order today and ask about our special offer. 1-800-854-BEER. Void or prohibited by law. You must be 21 years or older to order or receive product.
This season, why not send someone a truly unique gift where both the gift and the memory will last forever? Name a star after them. For $48 and a call to 800-282-3333, the International Star Registry will send them a full-color parchment certificate, sky charts to locate their star, and a fascinating booklet on astronomy. The star name will then be recorded in book form in the U.S. Copyright Office. Call the International Star Registry today at 800-282-3333. They'll never forget you.
President Clinton calls it a remarkable day. Mr. Clinton in Gaza City for an historic meeting of the Palestine National Council. By a show of hands, the organization declared language in the PLO charter calling for the destruction of Israel null and void. Yasser Arafat, here through an interpreter, praised Mr. Clinton's contribution.
History will record for you, Mr. President, as one of the most distinguished peacemakers in our times, your achievement.
Israel says it accepts the PLO decision. The holiday shopping season is moving into high gear. Nearly half of all Christmas purchases are made in the last couple of weeks before the holiday. But where are people buying? Here's Market Watch's Stacy Tisdale.
We've certainly seen shoppers have a love for discount stores this year. They're getting smarter. The big department stores are suffering. Shoppers are going to outlet malls for most of their purchases, and that's being reflected in the numbers.
The numbers at the post office are staggering this time of year. It's expected the Postal Service will handle more than 4.5 billion pieces of holiday mail. Spokesman Steve Corker says the amount keeps growing.
Oddly enough, in this day and age of internet and email and all those other things, when people might suspect, the post office, it's 500 million pieces of mail more this year than last year.
Well, the hottest ticket in New York City is Blue. Make it the Blue Room, the much-hyped David Hare play starring Nicole Kidman, which opened last night on Broadway. Why was TV host Regis Philbin there?
Naturally, because Nicole Kidman is naked in the thing, but I hear the acting is pretty good, too.
The play, which deals with sex in 10 short scenes, arrives after a run in London, which left several critics virtually panting over Nicole Kidman. On Wall Street, a down day. The Dow is off 65 points, the NASDAQ 36, the S&P 500 down 16. I'm Nick Young.
The next 60 seconds could change your life forever. If you want to make money, If you're tired of making money for others, if you like the idea of a more secure future, would like to make extra money, and if plenty of time off interests you, please pay careful attention to this message. AmeriCard Dispensing Corporation offers a turnkey business that you must investigate. This is a solid opportunity to start the ultimate vending business of your own, with no direct selling on your part, working either part or full-time. Get all the facts now about how you can increase your income, develop your own business, and enjoy more time for the better things in life. Call now. Availability in your area is limited. 1-800-364-8981. There is no obligation. Call toll-free 1-800-364-8981. There is an investment required. Operators are standing by. Call 1-800-364-8981.
This is NBC Radio News. Barnes Jewelers is celebrating Christmas with savings throughout the store. This is the perfect time to finish your holiday shopping. You'll find up to 30% off diamond rings, earrings, bracelets, and pendants. Save on 10-carat and 14-carat gold necklaces, bracelets, earrings, and charms. Save up to 30% on Citizen, Seiko, Pulsar, and Noblia watches. And Barnes has a great selection of clocks by Linden. Barnes Christmas shopping hours are Monday through Thursday from 9:30 till 6. Friday and Saturday 9:30 till 9. Barnes Jewelers on Eastgate Drive in Goldsboro.
As the system pulls away from the coast, skies have cleared out nicely across the region. An area of high pressure will have a grip on our weather into tonight. This afternoon looks to be mostly sunny but cool on northeast winds. Highs holding at about 50 to 55, not too far from where they should be. Clear cold tonight, upper 20s to low 30s. And then Tuesday will bring us an increase in clouds, with highs tomorrow holding in the low 50s. I'm meteorologist Chris Thompson in the North Carolina News Network Weather Center.
Folks, we're back at it. Another full hour of broadcast excellence. What momentous times. Only the third time in American history, and we're all alive when it happens. Articles of impeachment drafted and sent to the full House of Representatives. Honestly, folks, how many of you ever thought you'd see this day a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago? How many of you ever thought you would see this day? How many of you ever thought that you would see this week? I dare say very few of us ever thought, especially given the past 2 years or 3